back. Sorry for the delay. I know I promised the PowerShell app deployment toolkit series. I made the first video, and that took me some time because version 4 was right around the corner, and I didn't want to do a video based on version 3 when version 4 was coming. So I had to wait, had to use it, and then I finally made the video. But of course, version 4.1 was released, and they changed a bunch of stuff. So I'll just be redoing the video. And hopefully this time I pace it out a little better. I think this first video will just be downloading the toolkit package and configuring it. And I think the subsequent videos will be more so how to do certain things. Let's get started. Let's open up our web browser. Go to our search engine. We want to look for PSADT, PowerShell App Deploy Toolkit. Click on Docs. Make sure you read through this. But for right now, we want to go to Downloads and click on the GitHub release for the latest release, which is version 4.15, released September 7th. We want to download template v4. All right, let's go ahead and extract that zip. Now what I usually do is copy the extracted folder to my documents. And so we're going to make all of our initial configurations to these files. Let's just go through the folders. So in assets, that contains the app icons and banner. You can change these to fit your company's branding. If you go into the config folder, this is the file that we want to make our changes to. All right, so this is the location of the app icon and the banner that we just looked at. Typically, I don't make changes here. I just copy over the actual app icon file and the banner file. So we'll just leave that. And this is the MSI parameters for default installations. The first one is for interactive mode, and down here is the silent mode. Those are fine for my environment. Typically, I don't show the actual installer. I just want the user to see the pretty GUI of PowerShell App Deployment Toolkit. I don't want them to see the installer GUI. So more than likely, you'll leave those as is. The logging level, more than likely you won't change that. Um, the first change that we come across that they made is the log path. Before, you would have to paste the same directory in multiple spots. So I guess the developers decided to just make the default pull from here. So now this is where we change to program data Microsoft Intune management extension logs. And we would copy this here. So these two, because it's null, or if you just leave it empty, it's just going to use these by default. So I like that. Company name. This is where you would change the company name, where we were setting that before in the actual PowerShell script. But now they have a place for you to put it in the config file. That makes a lot more sense. I think that's probably it. Yeah, I think that's probably it for this config file. You know what, while we're in here, let's just make this just so that we can see. Let's back out of the config folder and we'll go to strings. We'll open the strings.psd1. This is where you come if you want to change some of the wording on that the toolkit will display to the end user. It's not required. Like I mentioned on the previous video, I work in education, K through 12, so some of my end users don't know what defer means or deferrals. So I come here and anywhere I see defer or deferral, I change it to delay. But you don't have to change anything here. So let's close out of that. We'll back up. I think that's it for configuration. So let's open up the actual script. Invoke app deploy toolkit.ps1. Invoke app deploy toolkit is what actually kicks off the install or uninstall or repair. You want to read through this, but I think what's most important right now is this example. This would be how you kick off an installation in silent mode. I always call the exe. I try not to call the PowerShell script directly because if I'm not mistaken, there are some benefits to to call in the exe. I believe it does more in the background or something. I remember reading that somewhere. But you would use this command line if you wanted the deployment to uninstall. You would just change that to uninstall. If you didn't want silent mode, you can just change that to, you know, interactive, or if you don't specify deploy mode, by default it'll use the new auto mode. As you can see, the parameter, the default for deployment type is install. The default for deploy mode is auto. This was a big deal because in previous versions, in order for the end user to see the UI of the toolkit, you had to use what was a tool called Service UI, and it had to look for, you know, Explorer exe to know that a user was logged in. Well, they removed that requirement, and they figured out a way to do all this, you know, within the toolkit itself, not needing the Service UI exe. So that's kind of what this auto is about. So now if a user is logged in, then it will use interactive mode. If a user isn't logged in, it would automatically use silent mode. That's really neat. Let's jump down to the variables. I think that's about it for this video. I guess here the show ADT installation prop. So this will pop up when the installation is done. If it's in interactive mode, you can just put something like the app has installed successfully. Not too much else to go over for this video. There's other things like no session detection and no out-of-box experience detection, but I don't think we need to go through that for this video. So that would conclude for this video. We have our, you can say, base or our template for PowerShell app deploy toolkit. Next video we'll actually deploy an app